Yes, it's nice to be back at Natural Resources. Spent many happy years on this committee, and good to see some familiar faces. And I'm proud once again to discuss the Reclaim Act, H.R. 1733, the Revitalizing the Economy of Coal Communities by Leveraging Local Activities and Investing More, the Reclaim Act of 2021. And also H.R. 1734, SMACRA amendments of 2021, or the AML, the Abandoned Mine Lands Trust Fund Reauthorization. Both pieces of legislation would make meaningful positive impact on the lives of our citizens in historic coal country, as you have mentioned, Mr. Chair. I would like to thank Congressman G.T. Thompson for being the Republican lead and longtime champion for reauthorizing the AML. The Abandoned Mine Lands Trust Fund that was established through Surface Mining Control and Reclamation Act of 1977, SMACRA, and is set to expire in September of this year. Now, since its creation in 1977, federal funding in the AML Trust Fund has transformed the landscape and communities across historic coal country. AML Trust Fund has helped eliminate over 46,000 open mine portals and restored water supplies to countless residents of coalfield communities, all while creating jobs and economic opportunity. But it is estimated that it will cost at least $10 billion more to reclaim the remaining high priority AML sites across the country, including 300 sites just in my own district in Northeastern Pennsylvania, work that could go unfinished if the AML Trust Fund is not reauthorized. Reclaiming these mines can transform communities. Again, in my own district in Northeastern Pennsylvania, I think of the Arena Hub Plaza, the distribution centers in Hazleton, and the site of a new high school in Wilkes-Barre. These are all former abandoned mine land sites that are now or are soon to be places that drive economic growth and opportunity. We have our success stories, but our work is far from over. The Lackawanna River, the Susquehanna River, and tributaries still bear scars from abandoned mine lands. Some of that water comes out of these holes in the landscape as bright orange plumes from the iron oxide and rust that has reached the surface from the iron deposit underground. The air is also contaminated with the smell from abandoned mine basements, sewer systems, and old mine air shafts. The health risks to our communities, the environment, and the wildlife in these areas cannot be overstated. If we allow the AML Trust Fund to expire at the end of this fiscal year, this urgent work to restore our lands will never be finished, and our communities will continue to suffer indefinitely. Not only do we need to reauthorize AML, but we have the opportunity to accelerate the benefits that reclamation can bring. My friends and colleagues, Congressman Hal Rogers, Don Beyer, and G.T. Thompson, have helped me lead the fight to pass the Reclaim Act. And I would like to extend a special note of appreciation and acknowledgement for Congressman Rogers, who was the original author of that bill several Congresses ago. The Reclaim Act accelerates the release of $1 billion that is already sitting in the Abandoned Mine Land Trust Fund unused. This money would clean up these mine sites more quickly to promote economic revitalization, diversification, and development in economically distressed mining communities. Yes, it's good that that money is in the AML Trust Fund, but no, it's bad because it should be being put to use right now. These are urgent needs. So together, the AML Reauthorization Act and the Reclaim Act continue and accelerate funding for communities that have been scarred by coal mining, allowing them to repurpose hazardous mining sites into opportunities for job growth and economic creation. These are bills supported by both Republicans and Democrats, passed out on voice vote from this committee last year because we all agree that protecting our clean water and creating jobs is the right thing to do for the people that we represent. Ensuring that this work can continue will fuel the creation of good-paying jobs and pave the way for new economic opportunities while revitalizing our lands and cleaning up our waterways. These bills are common sense, practical, bipartisan, job-creating proposals, and just the exact thing that Congress should be working on and passing, and it's what our constituents expect of us. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for considering these bills today. Thank you for inviting me to testimony. I yield back, and I hope to be able to get a chance to introduce your next witness.
I'm going to ask first, I'm going to yield to Representative Cartwright to introduce our first witness.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you also to the ranking member for making that statement. I just came from an Interior Appropriations hearing where we heard from a representative from the Nestle company about something called extended producer responsibility. The idea is very much the same as AML, a small fee from ongoing operations to promote recycling of plastic, a very exciting concept. But today I have the great honor and privilege to introduce Mr. Robert Bobby Hughes, the Executive Director of Epcamera, the Eastern Pennsylvania Coalition for Abandoned Mine Reclamation. For the past 24 years, he has been in that post. Bobby's really made himself one of the foremost experts and leaders nationally in abandoned mine reclamation. And I challenge anybody to find somebody with as much passion for this work as Bobby Hughes. From his education in environmental resource management at Penn State to his countless awards for environmental excellence for his work on abandoned mine reclamation and abandoned mine drainage, Bobby Hughes has been on the front line of combating these issues through remediation, education, community outreach, and advocacy for crucial change. Also continuously innovating and pushing the envelope for mine reclamation, including his recent work advancing the use of these reclaimed sites for solar energy production. So I'm proud to call Bobby Hughes a friend of mine and a partner in this vital work for Northeastern Pennsylvania, Appalachia, and the nation, and it is my honor to introduce him to the panel here today. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
The chair now recognizes Mr. Hughes for 5 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, ranking members, Representative Chairman Lowenthal, and members of the committee here on natural resources, thank you for allowing me to present testimony here today before all of you. Epcamera is a regional environmental nonprofit that's mission is to encourage the reclamation and redevelopment of abandoned mine lands and mine water that's affected by past mining practices. And we represent the interests of community groups and conservation districts and coalfield communities throughout northeastern and north central Pennsylvania's anthracite and bituminous coal region. We cover 16 counties in northern Appalachia. And we have about 26 years of experience in working on AMD and AML. I spent my entire career with Epcamera building strong community partnerships to address our mine-scarred landscapes and polluted waterways with my neighbors and my friends. I lived in the center of the northern anthracite coal fields my entire life among the shadows of hundreds of countless AML features. And honestly, I've become really tired of continuing to have to look at them 25 years into my career. Granted, we've made some progress and had lots of successes, but not nearly enough. I have 3 children and 2 grandchildren right now growing up in the region who, frankly, they deserve a better quality of life. We can do better as a nation. Even after all the accomplishments that Epcamera and our partners have had, I personally feel like I failed them and should be doing even more. So I'm here testifying before you all because I can't do more for them than my communities and our nation's coalfield communities that I'm trying to my best to represent if HR 1734 isn't extended and passed. Most of the streams I've grown up around are still running orange to this day. There's very large flows, expansive underground mine pools, a lack of private investment in the reuse of the mine water, liability concerns, and expensive projected treatment costs are just some of the reasons why this pollution remains. It is an environmental justice that my family and our communities across the country still have to continue to live with this legacy of past mining. Throughout Appalachia, 5.5 million people are, and at least 2.5 million people in Pennsylvania live within 1 mile of an abandoned mine site. Our coal regions are scattered with health and safety hazards, waste coal piles, illegal dumping, mine drainage, and poverty-stricken environmental justice communities. The projected costs of land reclamation, mine fire extinguishment, and any AMD cleanup and remediation are in the billions of dollars. They vary by site conditions, availability of cover material, site constraints, the AMD quality, and the flow of these discharges. Our Pennsylvania AML campaigns gathered over 128 supporters that keep coming forward. Trout Unlimited nationally, Pennsylvania Council of Trout Unlimited, our 49 chapters, nonprofit organizations, conservation districts, municipalities, and Pennsylvania county governments, Susquehanna River Basin Commission, our Association of Conservation Districts, the General Assembly even, and our State Conservation Commission and the Governor all support reauthorization of H.R. 1734. You'll see in my testimony I submitted there are 5 letters of support from various businesses that talk about job creation, economic investment, and the importance of environmental cleanup, the protection of home ownership from businesses and from mine subsidence insurance, and the public health and safety that we have to deal with. Many organizations are in support of reauthorization across the country nationally. Pennsylvania has the most AML sites. West Virginia is second. However, those problems extend south to Alabama, north to Arkansas, west to Montana and Wyoming's Powder River Basin, and to tribal lands on the 4 corners of the Southwest. SMACRA continues to eliminate these health and safety hazards in our communities. There's 600 companies in Pennsylvania alone that are doing work contractually for reclamation. This is a great opportunity for even people that are transitioning from coal industry to the field of abandoned mine reclamation for work. Reclamation of AML could lead to regional economies by creating jobs and generating local municipal taxes, county taxes, and revenue for school districts. As a part of our AML campaign, an unfunded sort of informal collective of local and national organizations that advocate for the policies and programs on abandoned mine reclamation, we support fully reauthorizing the AML Trust Fund through 2037. Other focal points on SMACRA can be found in the publication that's highlighted in my testimony. So we encourage you and welcome you by more bipartisan support and leadership to step forward and co-sponsor 1734. As far as the Reclaim Act, that money, that $1 billion that could be released from the fund, there's potentially $291 million that could be distributed over 5 years to Pennsylvania. Epcamera has recently completed the development of a GIS site selection criteria tool that will allow us to work with interested solar developers to potentially site community solar projects on formerly reclaimed abandoned mine land sites throughout the anthracite region. Nearly a dozen companies from around the country have called us already since the release of the Reclaiming Appalachia Coalition's 2020 report. This is just one example of the possibilities to come. So HR 1733 is a major opportunity for disadvantaged communities and environmental justice communities to provide good jobs and economic stability for our communities. And finally, Epcamera and our Charter Limited members support the HR 1146 because it will increase the ability of our third-party groups and watershed groups and TU chapters around the country to use some of their own money and funds and their organizational capacities to help clean up streams and watersheds affected by AMD. Now more than ever, we need to turn to the potential of these AML and AMD discharges into possibilities and a reality by passing these vital bills. These bills can showcase the beginning points of a bipartisan victory for economic recovery for the people and places that powered the United States for generations. The time is now. So thank you for allowing me to share you with the importance of these bills and their passage on behalf of our many coalfield communities, our AML campaign, and national partners in reclamation.